So thank you for joining us today. My name is Jessica Worthington. I'm the Director of the Office of Downtown Development with the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. And this is Third Thursday. And I can't believe it's April. Y'all, we're like 2023 on already. It's crazy. We like to kind of usually kick off with introductions. I'll do a little introduction for our team. So we have Ellen Hill, our Main Street Training and Compliance Coordinator. We have Elizabeth Elliott, our Downtown Development Historic Preservation Planner Coordinator. I can't remember at this point. We have Tess Harper, our Communications Coordinator, who has the cutest new haircut today. And we have Ebony Simpson, our Organization and Strategic Planning Coordinator. So we got the entire team here today. Woohoo! And we'd love to hear from y'all. If we've got some new faces in the room, throw up your hand and so you can introduce yourself. If you're not as familiar with Zoom, if you scroll all the way to your bottom, there's a thing that says reactions and you can raise your hand. And that way we can see who you are. If there's anyone that wants to introduce themselves.
I would like to call out somebody real quick.
Sure.
I don't think we've introduced her yet, but Rosemary is on the call, and she's with she's with the city of Young Harris, and so Young Harris is one of our newest startup communities, and so I just wanted to introduce her. Everybody reach out to her after this. She has really great background history. I'll let her introduce herself, but we're really excited to have her in our Main Street community.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's good to see you here.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find the raise my hand button, so thanks for doing that.
I call you out, it's fine.
Thank you. I have been at Young Harris College for about 30 years with a background in strategic planning, also as a professor. So I left there to come across the street, literally, to Main Street because I love our valley and I can take my skills from there and apply them here. And I'm thrilled to finally be able to join one of the Third Thursdays. I have these on my calendar and I'm like, yes, I can be there. I've been working hard to meet community members and working on my long list of advisory board members and just really excited to be here. The resources are amazing. So thank you so much.
All right. Anyone else who'd like to say hi? You can just speak up if you want to. All right, we'll move on. But if you change your mind, you can just say hi and jump in. So let's see, we've got a lot going on. And I know that Ellen's going to help me and throw some links and stuff into the chat box as we go through this. So first things first, we have a couple upcoming training opportunities that I want to make sure you're aware of. On May 9th in Dublin, Georgia, we are doing a training all about managing projects, like economic development, downtown development projects. If you haven't been to Dublin in the past couple of years, you should be joining us for this. They've done some incredible projects, I would say over the past 10 years, especially. And not only are we going to get to hear from the city and the staff and the actual project, managers and the business owners themselves, but we're actually going to get to tour the projects and we're going to do a little case study. We have a developers panel that's going to be coming in and moderated by Joshua, who is the mayor there and prior to being a Mayor Best was there. And Joshua worked as with the DDA and is an attorney. So he's got kind of experience from all different sides. And I'm really excited about it. we will, it's like anything we do, there are limited seats. So I want to make sure that if you're interested in this, you don't miss this opportunity. Yes, absolutely. We would love board members to come. If you've got an elected official that you want to help kind of convince them that DDA should be doing projects, this is a great one to bring them to. If you've got board members, if you can't go and you want to send other staff members or board members in your place, absolutely. So I would say this is one of those trainings, like board members, other staff members, elected officials, they will all get take away something really good from this. It's almost kind of like a mini one-day Main Street, mobilized Main Street, except it's really just like economic development focused. So I'm excited. We've wanted to do something like this for a couple of years, but obviously pandemic things got in the way. So I think this is just going to be absolutely great. Ellen has thrown in the chat box the link if you want to check it out. I will say registration does include lunch and stuff like that, snacks, lunch, things like that. So it's all inclusive. All you have to do is just show up and come ready to learn. And then the next training that any questions about that before I move on? All right.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Is there a hotel block or anything for that for anybody outside, or for any room rates or anything like that for that one?
So right now, no. I did, when you sign up, I do have a list of like the available hotels. But with us not knowing how many people are coming and the hotels requiring like a certain number, or we have to pay for it. So we just didn't do a room block, but I do have like the list of the available hotels there.
I will tell you, like, I booked a room yesterday because we're coming in the night before, like at the Fairfield Marriott there. It was $98. So, I mean, it's, that's a pretty good price. I don't know that we could really beat that with a group block rate. So yeah. But if y'all are going to be in town the night before, we'll be there too. So maybe we can meet up for dinner or something like that. And then the next training that we have going on is going to be in June. Ellen, you're going to have to remind me of the date.
So for the June one in Macon, it's June 6th.
June 6th. And so that is going to be our training that is going to be focused on the switch to 6. Mm-hmm. And so remember that this year we're embracing all things 6 worthy. So the National Main Street Center had 10 standards and they switched to 6. And everybody needs to get training on that. So that's Main Street managers, directors, staff, board members, everybody. And so there is an online version that people can take advantage of, but we know that people love to be able to learn in person and to share with each other and have those experiences. And so we are doing 2 in-person trainings this year. The first one is going to be in Macon and in that June date. And then the second one is going to be part of the Main Street Conference. I will tell you there will be a little bit of a difference though. So the one in Macon is going to focus primarily on the switch to 6, what that is, what that entails. And the one that we're going to be doing in Canton as part of the conference, that is going to be more of a Main Street 101 that also incorporates the switch to 6. So if you don't want to have to sit through the entire Main Street 101, you've heard things before, you're going to want to come to the Macon training first and foremost. So again, this is something that board members can come to, staff members, anybody who needs to learn this, embrace it, take it on, and all people are welcome. The Macon training is June 6th. Is that what she said? Yeah, 6th, June 6th. And the times are, Hold on.
I think I put on there like 9:30 to 3:30. So it's not like super, super early in the day, but it gets you out in time to like get back home at a decent hour.
Mhm.
But we're in, Macon is
and-
kind of a central location, so.
Yeah, and that will include the 9:30 to 3:30 is what we've got. And then that does include lunch break. So their lunch is not included. Lunch is going to be on your own. But we've made sure to build in enough time so you guys can go out, pick your spot, network together, have fun, do a little, hanging out in Macon, since we're all Maconites now, after being there at the conference last year. I'm sure everybody's got a favorite place they ate at for the conference and wants to go back and eat out again. So I know I have mine. But we want to make sure that those 2 trainings are on your calendar, and that we, get y'all signed up so you don't miss them. Ellen, Elizabeth, am I missing anything else in regards to those 2? I didn't think so. And so the next big thing is we are here to scare you today because we're going to be changing Dropbox. Everybody freak out. No, it's going to be great. I promise you. It's going to be wonderful. As part of the switch to 6, we're having to make some changes kind of like across the board. Obviously, the assessment process and stuff like that is going to change. Your kind of like the way you're thinking and looking at downtown development, it's the same, but it is switching a little bit. And we just felt like, hey, if we're going to make some changes and we have to make some changes, let's just change everything, right? Let's rip the Band-Aid off and let's just change everything. And that sounds completely scary and terrifying, but let me tell you, we've done this with our beta group last fall. And one of the things we got the most positive feedback on was this change. So, and I think I'm just going to turn it over to Elizabeth at this point and just let her talk to you about what the change will be, what it will incur, why we're doing it, what, how we got to this point. So I'll just stop teasing it, and I'm just going to give the mic to Elizabeth and let her go from there.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, it's not scary. And as our beta group can tell you, this was one of the most highly advocate or rated changes we did as far as the switch to 6. Part of it came because I was just tired of navigating Dropbox as it was. And I called Jessica on one point and I was like, we have to improve this because it's convoluted for me, it's convoluted to teach, and it's convoluted for managers. And we're creating some busy work and duplication of efforts, and we need to improve upon that because that is never what we want to do as an office. And so this is, I will share my screen and we're just going to kind of go through it. It's really, and it's, all of it is just so it's a lot more intuitive and easy to know what's supposed to go in there, and a little just all that stuff. So I will share my screen.
And I think the biggest thing to know too, before we get started, is that we are going to do this change for you. So over the course of several months, we will be going into your Dropbox and helping make these changes. The expectation is not for you to learn it all today and then, start messing with your Dropbox and doing these changes yourself. The goal is for us to make this transition as easy on you as possible.
Mm-hmm. So y'all are familiar with the old version, which looked like this, where we had the standards folders. So our new version looks like, if I can navigate back to it. Boop, boop, boop. Oh goodness. Let's go up here. This is our new version. So literally the folders tell you what needs to go in there. I realized after teaching a lot of new managers that it was just way more convoluted than it needed to be. So we wanted to make it extremely intuitive. So yes, you have your checklist where you can double check that you have everything there that you need, but it's also, you have the folders that literally tell you what you need to upload. And so we also, folders 1 through 8 are what we call your dynamic folders. So those are the folders that you will have to touch every single year. And we'll go through those. And then folders 9 through 12 are your static folders. And so those are those documents that we had previously had you upload every single year, even if they didn't change. Now you upload one version And then as long as that's the current version, you're good to go. But I'm going to dive into these different folders so you can kind of see what they look like inside, because there's some additional organizational tactics in each. So in each of the dynamic folders, you will, when you go in there, you will see specific year folders in the dynamics folders, because as far as the annual assessment document, that is something that you have new every single year. So when you complete it for the year, you put it in the year that it corresponds to. So this year, when everybody completes their annual assessment document, they will put it in 2023. And then that's kind of how we keep the years straight instead of trying to do them separate as years. Any templates that are required are going to be in these folders. And so you'll see all the annual assessment documents available here. And so that is where we'll have them on the website as we normally do. But when we upload these to your Dropbox, it will also have all the annual assessment documentation that will be required this year. So all of these folders look like that. So same story, MOU. You have your years folder. So we're going to go into MOUs a little bit later. Ellen's going to fill you in on that because they're coming soon. So keep an eye for it. And so when you get yours signed and completed this year, you'll just put it in 2023. It's just that simple. Work plan and other planning documents. Here we have our required template because we do have our work plan template. But as before, if you have a template that really works for your community, if you send it to us and we look at it and we feel it hits all the boxes that we want to check with work plans, we will approve it for you to use. But if you do not have something like that, you do need to use our required document, and they are in here. And then we know a lot of communities have additional planning documents, whether it's an RSVP plan or a different type of strategic plan, or a marketing plan or something like that, where you have another outside resource where it's not really your annual work plan, but it's a larger document. That's where this other planning document resource folder comes in. So those types of folders, we never really had a natural place to put them before, but this is where they would go. So if you have one of those larger plans, that's where we'd like you to put it for the upcoming year. And then board roster, we have a required template for our board roster. So it's right in here. And again, you complete that, you put it in 2023. So very intuitive, very simple. It literally tells you what you need to put in there, your board agendas, your board minutes, your training log. Again, we do have a template for our training log. So it's right here. So you'll just utilize that. And then once it's completed, due January 15th, you'll upload it into the 2023 folder. Yearly program budgets. You'll see there is an parentheses, an S with the parentheses. This is one of those educational moments we have been trying really hard over the past couple of years to communicate to communities, is sometimes you might have more than one budget that guides your program. And so we've driven this home with monthly reporting of, like, sometimes you might have a Main Street budget, quote unquote, but you also have a DDA and some other budgets that incorporate into your overall programmatic funds for your program. We want to see all of those budgets. One thing that we did change this year is we used to ask for monthly budgets. We are no longer asking for that. We just want to see the annual, but we do still want to see on that annual kind of the actuality of not just like a straight budget, but what was actually spent that year. And again, as always, if you ever have any questions on where exactly you need to pull that or how that's done, we can help you kind of suss out that, talk to your financial officer, and help you figure out what exact report we would want to see in here. And with all these folders, when we upload them into your Dropbox, we are going to have little instructions for each folder to kind of explain what's going into here, what we want to see, and kind of commonly asked questions about the folders. So there will be some kind of guiding documentation in here as well to make everything as simple as possible. It's like that's our greatest effort right now. We want to make sure it's as, it's clearer than mud. Like, we don't want it clear as mud. We want it like crystal clear. And then now we get into our static folders. And so you'll see in your static folder, it's a little bit different than the year folders. We have an archive folder. And so for the way this folder will work is your most current version is just going to hang out in the folder. It's just going to be chilling. Let's say you update your bylaws one year. The bylaws that were in this folder, you just put them into archive because we still want to keep that organizational history. That's why we have that archive folder. So you'll still keep your old version, you'll just put it in archive. And so whatever version is the most recent, we know it's the most recent because it's in the folder, and it's the one that's just there. So when we click into it, we can look at it and we can pop back out. But again, all of this, we still want the historical knowledge. We still want that succession planning knowledge. And that's why we're still housing multiple years of information in this new format. Same deal with program bylaws. mission and vision statement, boundary map, historic. We have a couple special folders at the very end. These aren't necessarily required, but they're highly recommended. One is our historic preservation folder. And so this is essentially for you to keep information on historic preservation documents that might guide some of your plan of work, your city. So design guidelines, if you have a design overlay district, a local historic district, we would love to have those uploaded, because that also gives us examples we can send to other communities if they're wanting to look at this and kind of be inspired, or a place to start. So it's a really great repository just for resources. Historic preservation ordinance, just so you know what's on the books. And again, it's that hit by the bus philosophy of, if something happens to you tomorrow, somebody new walks in and they don't have to research all of this stuff. It's all right here to where they can understand the current conditions of their community, what's on the books, all that type of stuff. Local historic district map, National Register nominations, property inventory. There will be a property inventory template available. We've had kind of an unofficial version floating about in the ether for a while, but we're going to be firming that up as well. And this is not an exhaustive list. If there's other folders that you want to put in here, if you have educational materials, if you have walking tour stuff, if you have historic photos, like this is, the world is your oyster here. These are just kind of those most common documents, those common guiding documents, law-abiding documents, if you will, that are nice to keep track of. But this is not an exhaustive list. You can add additional folders to this, but we do request that you add folders and it's well organized, just so if somebody goes in here, they know what they're looking at. So that's the historic preservation folder. Then we also have kind of the catch-all of other downtown documents. So this is everything. So if you have local grant programs, marketing photos, we're always looking for great marketing photos to refresh our stuff and to tout y'all. So that's a great place to put those. If you have a really great photo that you're like, hey, this might be a good, that's something they'll want to use, I'd love for them to use it. This is a great place to put that. Tessa's always looking for beautiful photos to kind of put everywhere. So this, I'm hoping, will be maybe a good repository for that. National certificate. So, you know, when we give the accreditation, you get your National Main Street certificate. This is where you put those if you want to keep records of them. Other ordinances affecting downtown, like sign ordinance, alcohol ordinance, all of those types of things. That's where you could put these. And again, the same story as the historic preservation folder. This is not an exhaustive list. Jason from Hartwell was like, I'd like to put a lot of other stuff in here. Where can I do that? This is where you can do that. If you have news articles, if you want to keep track of those, you know, any type of thing. This is where that kind of catch-all of, like, this is where that other documentation, you would put that and you would just create a folder to identify what is actually in there. And then that's great because we get to kind of see all the different resources you're working with. That's that folder. And then we have Main Street reports. And this is where, when we send you your accreditation report and your impact report, this is where that will go. So we'll primarily use this folder. You'll just interact with it. So for 2023, for example, when we complete everything, that's where those reports will be. In the past, it was kind of like always tucked away a little bit, or it was just kind of like chilling and there was no like rhyme or reason to the organization of it. So we think this is going to be a really great way to really keep track of that historical knowledge in a little bit more user-friendly version. So we're really excited about that. And then your archive folder down here, this is where Jessica kind of alluded to this. We don't want to create any more work for y'all. So we actually are going to be doing this to your Dropbox folders for you. We will upload this version and all of the previous information in there, all of those year folders. Again, we want to keep that information. We will put them in the archive folder. So it still will be there. It will just be in the archive folder. So when you log into your shared Dropbox with us, and still, instead of seeing the years as you used to, you'll see this. And then all the year folders will be in your archive. And again, we're going to do all of this for you. Any information you already have, if you're one of the go-getters or the well-organized people that have already kind of started filling in your 2023 folder, we will move that information for you too. And so we just want to make sure that we know that this is a big change. We don't want it to be overly burdensome. We think it's going to be a good change in the long run, both for us being more efficient at checking all this information and based on the feedback from our beta group, just in general for you guys. But that's what the archive folder is. The downtown GA, that is just chilling for right now. We're not utilizing it quite yet. But when we do get that website online, that's where I will put stuff in to interact with communities that are planning to upload information to the website. It is still coming. We live in a governmental world. So it's taking, we've had some hurdles to jump, but we are still excited and working towards it. So it is still coming. It's just, a little bit delayed. But that is what that folder is. So nobody really needs to do anything with it right now, but it will be. We just wanted to go ahead and include it. So in the future, it's there and ready to be used. So,
and I will say too, that, our goal, like Elizabeth said, is to make this as easy on you as possible. But if the idea of us going in and doing this in your Dropbox gives you heart palpitations and you would much rather do it yourself because you're that person, that is fine. You just need to communicate that with us.
Mm-hmm.
So all I ask is if you're that person, you're like, put it in, but don't touch it. Leave it alone. I'll put stuff where it goes. All you have to do is shoot us an email over to that general mainstreet@dca.ga.gov email address, and we will do that for you and let you do your thing. So like, again, we're here to serve. We're here to make this easier on you, not more stressful on you. You just have to communicate with us if there's a different route you would like to take.
yes. And our timeline for this is we will start working on this in May, starting to make those conversions with the expectation of having everybody switched over by July 1. So it is going to be a process just because there are a lot of you and we want to make sure that we're, doing everything correctly, not making any mistakes. And so we are kind of giving ourselves a generous amount of time to complete this. But our goal is to have everyone switched over by July 1. Then we will do, we have other kind of learning sessions planned. We'll have additional learning documents, like I mentioned, the guiding documents within the folders. We will also have a Dropbox guide. We'll have a video on YouTube. We'll have all our normal tropes of how to make sure that this is as easy to understand for you as possible. But again, the intent with this was to make it kind of foolproof. You look at it and you're like, I know what to do. So hopefully that achieves that goal. And like as Jessica said, nobody's having heart palpitations when they're thinking of this process. So by July 1, everybody will be turned over. We will complete the process. If you have any questions throughout it, just let us know. And again, as Jessica said, if the thought of us getting into all your business gives you does not make you happy, it does not spark joy, let us know, communicate that fact, and we can, figure out the way that, even if it's just like we upload the folders for you and you get to drag and drop all this stuff into your own folders, that's 100% okay. Just let us know. Any questions?
I would like to say something.
Uh-huh.
I had heart palpitations doing Dropbox, and Ellen Hill helped me so much. And I just want to say thank you, Ellen. I appreciate her because I was going through it, trying to figure everything out, and Ellen stepped in calmly and helped me out with everything. So thank you, Ellen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, that's what we're here for. And again, the hope is that, with this new system, I always tell Elizabeth, I love how her brain works because mine is more like the alphabet, but it's not necessarily like an alphabetical order. It's kind of like all over. And so I go from like 1 to 2 all over. And Elizabeth's is a lot more
linear
point to point. Yeah. And she is really good about like making sure we get from point A to point Z and that it makes sense. So whenever I'm doing something, I always pass it by her to like help kind of refine it. And I think what she has done with Dropbox and like the change and stuff like that is going to be great. But I think it's also going to be good for like the people who have to go on maternity leave, people who are like having surgery and have to step away for a little bit, people who want to go on vacation, people who need to like, take a sabbatical or time off, people who want to tap in other staff members or board members so that they can see, how the program's working and how things are coming together. I think that the new system is a lot more intuitive as far as like where to find documentation, and that makes it a stronger component for succession planning than what we've had in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Do any of our beta group want to say anything about the new version of Dropbox? No. Okay.
Well, I'll just say it was awesome. I mean, it's so much easier to use. So, I mean, if you're worried about change, this is a really good change. And I think you'll appreciate the way that it's laid out. It's so much easier to figure out where to put things.
Like we said, it was a thing people were like complimentary of the most in the beta group. So.
Well, thanks, Al.
Okay. Ellen, you want to talk to us about MOUs coming up?
Yes. So good morning, everyone. As we all know, for our seasoned people, MOUs, memorandum of understanding between our office and your city goes out July 1 every year for all of our newbies, or people who are new into the program. We do send out a memorandum of understanding every year for our communities between the Office of Downtown Development and your community. So what that looks like, if you don't know, is just an agreement between DCA, the city, your board of directors, just on what are we all expecting of each other. It's not anything crazy. It's things you already know that we are expecting of you, like reporting and doing your annual assessments and doing your surveys. And, we want to make sure that the board is paying you or the city is paying you and you have, funding, all the normal stuff. And I will say that it's going to be sent out on May 1st, which is a Monday. Those will be sent out to all of our communities by Adobe Sign. So be expecting some random email from Adobe Sign from me. And so it's going to go to you. It's going to go to whoever you put in your manager survey, who is your authorized community representative. So that might be your mayor. It might be your city manager. It's whoever you put. And then, of course, your supervisor and your board chair. And then you, of course. So there'll be several people on the list. Once one person signs it, it goes to the next. And then it's all due back to me, signed through Adobe Sign by July 3rd, because that's the Monday after July 1. So the new fiscal year calendar, whenever it starts. So July 3rd, if you have not gotten those signed, I'm going to start harassing y'all as I do. And I lovingly come and be like, hey guys, where's your stuff? So I will be starting to ask questions. And I will say also that if you haven't signed through Adobe Sign, they will send you a reminder and drive you crazy as well. So you'll probably get tired of hearing from us about MOUs if you haven't signed it by July 3rd. But, it's just a really important document so that we're all on the same page with your Main Street program and with us and your board and the city and everything. So if y'all have any questions or if you're concerned about if there's been some change in your community and your supervisor, your authorized community representative is not the same person that you put in January, just reach out to me and let me know. I can update that spreadsheet that I have. And if you have any further questions on what that looks like, you can ask me. I will, like I said, you'll be able to read it and see what it looks like on May 1st. I will say that nothing has really changed since last year. The one tiny thing that has changed is we are asking for board members to have 2 additional training hours per year. So if they've already done Main Street 101 or DDA 101, that's cool. But anybody who's like an older board member has been there for a little while, we are asking them to do at least 2 hours of additional training a year. And so that can be coming with you to something. That can be just watching a YouTube video on our page, hopping on a third Thursday every once in a while. Any further 2 hours is what we're looking for, and that's it. Just so that we know that they're engaged in your program and know what's going on.
And that is also in response to some of the changes with the switch to 6 too.
Right.
The expectations from national and stuff like that. So we're adapting to that and also trying to be as realistic as possible with expectations.
Right. So you're saying just one board member should have 2 hours of training, additional training, just one board member?
Your whole board, everybody on the board, every board member should have at least 2 hours of training per year.
Okay.
So like I said, if they've done Main Street 101 or DDA 101 since it's their first year of the appointment, that completely covers it.
Oh, that covers it.
Yeah. Anybody beyond that, yeah.
They've done all my board members done their 101 meeting, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will
also Oh, sorry, Ellen.
I was just gonna say, and if it's, y'all are at a board meeting and you want to pull up a training video and like watch it or something during one of your board meetings, that works too. So, if you have them all in one spot, and it's easier just to have a captured audience sometimes with them, because I know they get scattered.
Absolutely. And I was going to say too, this should be an easy thing for everybody this year to meet, because we're requiring that all board members be trained on the switch to 6. So whether that's online or in person, or you going through it at a board meeting with them, this is one of those things, like everybody getting those 2 hours of training this year, like that should be, easy to do, stamp of approval. And then, we'll make sure in the future that we kind of point out any opportunity that would be good for board members to participate in.
Yeah. And if you need a paper copy and like people aren't really good at Adobe Sign and can't figure that out, we can also send like a paper copy to whoever we need to.
Yeah. And also you should be receiving as part of this whole like MOU process and accreditation process. If you were put forward to be accredited this year as an affiliate Classic or GEMS community, you should be receiving at some point from the National Main Street Center, it'll come from Steve Amron, a digital licensing agreement, and everybody gets that. The manager typically signs it, and I sign it, and then it goes back to National. It's all done digitally, but if you see that, it's not a scam, it's not spam. This is giving you permission to use the Main Street logo and the Main Street brand. Bless you, Abigail. You got a question?
Yes, I also have a question. So with the board members, so will that technically start in July, and then they have until the following June to get those 2 hours, or is it starting July and need to be done by December? What's the timeline on that?
It's typically calendar year.
Calendar year. Okay.
January to December. Mhm.
Okay. So, but that'll start this year. So at the end of this year, they need 2 hours.
Yes, that is the
Okay.
expectation. Mhm.
Okay.
Elizabeth?
And then I just wanted, Ellen kind of touched on it for a second, but I know some communities need to get counsel, like the council needs to review the MOU before it's signed. So if you need a paper copy, just email us so that can be put in a council packet for them to look at to approve. But yeah, just all you have to do is let us know and we can send you a PDF version that's like the non-signed version, so you can actually print it and download it and stuff like that. So just let us know.
Very good point. I see we got some questions in the chat. Recommendations for DDA 101 training. So we have our online one for anyone who wants to do something like that online, and that's on our Georgia Main Street website. But other good opportunities in person, GMA works with Carl Vinson Institute to do a basic and advanced DDA training. You will need to go through the basic before you go through the advanced, because the advanced is advanced. But they do both of those in person a couple times throughout the year. The next one, I believe, will be part of the convention in Savannah, the Municipal Association's annual convention. And then typically they do one as part of the conference too. So usually there's one that either happens, it changes from year to year. So it's either on the front end or the back end of the conference. It just varies. But usually there's one in conjunction with the state downtown conference as well. And then there are a few people that can come in and, do some stuff in person. Cassidy, we can reach out if you need some options for that. And then Rosemary, in regards to National. So National will give you like access to the affiliate logo or the accredited logo, whichever, you guys are designated for. They typically don't help with like individual branding, but if you need some recommendations, I would say the manager's Facebook group is a really great place to start to see who else is used other people. And then I saw that Muldrow was put in there, great option. But yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many big events do we have a year? Because there's so much going on with events. I want to make sure I get to the ones I need to go to. So like we have the national Macon. How many events do we have that we really, it's like mandatory that we go to?
So we require you to have 30 hours of training, so professional development opportunities. We don't require you to, other than new managers or new board members, to participate in 101. We don't dictate or require you to participate in any of the other trainings. We completely allow you to choose what works best for your schedule, budget, and kind of like financial constraints and stuff like that. You know, that's why we put out a ton of stuff all the time. I would say that for both new managers and existing managers, it's always good to look and see, like, what are you not as strong in, and go to something that kind of complements that, right? So you can become more confident in that area. Or, you know, something that, you know, interests you, inspires you, is going to get those creative juices flowing. You know, so we will put all kinds of stuff out there from us and our partners. Again, the only thing mandatory is that, you know, if you're a new manager or a new board member, you had to participate in 101s. But, you know, coming to something like this Third Thursday absolutely counts as training hours. Typically it's one training hour. Ellen has started putting on our training calendar approximately how many training hours go with the trainings that we're doing, so that people can get a better feel for like what the expectation is of how many hours they would get for training if they come to that. And I think that's, you know, hopefully helpful to you guys. And, you know, again, if you want to attend something that we haven't like promoted or kind of touted, please reach out to us, because we can help, you know, say, hey, maybe this is something for other people we should share, but also, yes, this would be a good fit. You know, this would count as training if you're ever questioning that.
Yeah. And we like to say that if you can make the argument that it fits under any of the 4 points, so design, organization, promotion, or economic restructuring, and you need to know it for to better the success of your downtown and your knowledge base, most like 99.9% of the time it will count. But if there's ever a question, please reach out to us and let us know, or just ask the question, because, you know, I know we all like kind of want to be rule followers. And so if you want to be like that 100% yes, of course, ask us. But most of the time, if it's put on by a reputable source, which is also kind of an unofficial requirement, it will count. And that can be webinars, in person, a variety of different things.
Okay. I want to go to the Dublin event. And I have a meeting the same day, so I'm trying to decide, because I really want to go to the Dublin, so I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So that's why the question came up. Thank you.
Yep. And Shay put a good thing in the chat. If we have board members that are attending visits in neighboring communities, like Main Street communities, would those count as training hours? And I think absolutely. We always encourage managers to take their boards and to go visit other communities, to learn from them. A lot of people will do like organized field trips, for lack of a better word. And those things absolutely count as training. Regional meetings count. Like, you know, we are concluding this Friday with the Georgia Downtown Association. They're doing their regional meetups. Anybody that has attended a regional meetup, that completely counts as well. For us, typically you know, we look at the start time and the end time. So even if there's a networking component lunch in there or something like that. So if we start at 10 and end at 2, which has been the typical time frame, you know, you would get 4 hours for that training or participating in that kind of event. I'm looking to see if I answered all the questions. And of course, our YouTube channel, we upload previous webinars, previous Third Thursdays, things like that. You guys can always go back and watch those recordings, and just make sure you note it on your training log, and that can count as well. Yes, Elizabeth.
Sorry. So in the new Dropbox folder that we're putting in there, the training log in the Excel document, it has 2 tabs. There's this tab for staff and there's a tab for board. And so that's also where you will track your board's hours, those 2 required hours each year that your board needs to do from this point on. And again, there'll be instructions in each folder to kind of like how to utilize things. But I just wanted, since we're talking in the training sphere, that you now record both of those things. So yeah.
Renee, do you have any GDA updates you'd like to share with us before we kind of change topics?
Thanks. Did you see me clapping when you said wrapping up the regional meetups?
I know.
Tomorrow we'll be in Monroe. It's been a crazy month, but it's been awesome. We've had great turnout at all the sessions. So we have 40 plus registered for Monroe tomorrow. So it's going to be beautiful weather. It's going to be a great time. But we already have 5 cities selected for fall. So be on the lookout for that. We'll start marketing that a little bit later in the year. On May 1st, applications for awards for conference will go out. So they'll go out to all the GDA members by email, as well as I'll be posting it on social media. So if you have an awesome project, volunteer, anything great happening in your community that you want to recommend it for an award, please do that soon. There is a time frame for the deadline. So get those in early. And we are also accepting applications right now for concurrent sessions. That ends next week. So get those in as well. And I think that's all. Conference in Canton, it's going to be great. So just be ready. That's all I can say. Thanks.
We've already like drilled it into Valinda that there has to be karaoke. So
Karaoke is on the list along with
I think we said
other things.
I was gonna say, I think we said we can only come if there's karaoke, and she was like,
karaoke.
done and done.
You got the karaoke. Yeah,
We will have our version of a big bash as well. So if you've been to Main Street, National Main Street, you know what we're talking about. So it's gonna be great.
Well, and 2, if everybody here has some sort of a first Friday or second Saturday or something like that they do, if you're like me, you really don't get a chance to truly enjoy it because you're running around. If you run out of toilet paper in the porta potty, or the band needs this, and I just thought this would be a really cool way to kind of give back to y'all and just kind of hats off to everybody for all the great work that they do, and just give you an opportunity to really sit down in your chair and enjoy it for a few minutes. So that's how this all came about. So yeah.
And Renee reminded me, because when she mentioned the national conference next year is going to be in Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm really excited about that because it's so close to us. And I think, drivable for most people. I'm going to try and work with Mary, who's the state coordinator, to see if she will work with us to do like a volunteer discount, where if you volunteer to help with the conference or a session, moderate it or something like, or not moderate, monitor it or something like that, that like we could get a discount. We have a much bigger state contingency than Alabama does. So I know that they're going to absolutely need some help. And I mean, who wouldn't love to be able to go to the conference and get a discount just for, volunteering to sit in a session you probably would attend anyway. So I will let you guys know how that works out. But we're kind of negotiating that right now. And I'm excited just because, again, I love that it's going to be close to us, but that we don't have to host it.
Megan, I loved your reaction. That gave me life this morning.
So yeah, I think it'll be great. And if you've never had the opportunity to go, this is, I think this will be a great opportunity for y'all to make the trip and have that experience. Emily?
Related to the national conference, one of my biggest takeaways from that is that we should all be doing sessions at the conference, because Ani and I presented, and I think we had a lot to share, and I know everyone on this call has incredible stories and lessons to share with the network, and especially with it being so close, and it's only $100 registration if you're a presenter. So if you pair that with the GDA scholarship for education, you can basically go to the conference next year for free. So I would love just to see more representation from Georgia at the national conference, especially presenting and sharing all the incredible things we're doing.
Absolutely.
And if we get a chance to volunteer, it may be 0.
I know, right? I love it. And I think Emily hit on a really good point. Like, we would love to see more people putting sessions forward for the national conference. And I think that the state conference is a great place to practice that, right? So think about if there's a session you would potentially love to do at national, think about putting it forward for consideration for our state conference. That way you get it done, you've practiced it, you've done it a couple times, you can answer questions, kind of develop it, and then, put it forward to be considered for the National Main Street Conference. I think that, would be kind of a great stepping stone.
One thing, I didn't have my hand up, I'm sorry. One thing I think it would be cool if what Emily said, which is exactly right. We just had some kind of ladies leadership thing through Rotary yesterday. And there was one person who asked the questions. And then there were 3 other people that were very well versed in one particular topic. One was education, one was health, and one was, can't even remember, but she was an attorney. And that might be a really interesting thing. So it's not really putting the monkey on your back solely. So it's 4 partners and one is asking the questions, and you are hitting on, maybe you have 4 people that are speaking and you hit on the 4 points. And maybe your community, or you're very strong suited with promotions, or yours is economic development, whatever it may be. And then you bring something to the table you're representing, but at the same time, you're not terrified because you're up there speaking in front of everyone by yourself. So that's just an option, and I'm putting it out there. So
I think that's great.
One other thing, or 2 things actually. So number 1, I know when I was local, I had to have council approval to travel out of state, even if it was a close state. So if you feel like that might be a battle you have to fight to attend the national conference, please let us know. We'd be happy to talk to elected officials and do something to where it's like, this is a huge opportunity. It's well worth the investment, all that type of stuff. We want to help be your advocates on that. I know that would have been a struggle when I was local. And so I want to make sure that we can help facilitate that conversation if you think it might be a need. And then also there is an elected official rate. So this is not only an opportunity for you to attend, it could be your board, it could be elected officials. It's so close that I think the elected official rate is like $150 to attend the conference. So this could be a great opportunity to get some of your leadership, like kind of indoctrinated even more in the Main Street kind of ethos. So keep that in mind as well. And we'll kind of talk about this throughout the year, because we are excited. It is so close. And as Jessica said, we don't have to do any work for it. But I think that that's a great opportunity too, it's a great opportunity for y'all, but it's also a great opportunity for your community at large to experience Main Street at kind of the national level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Renee, did you have one more thing you wanted to add?
I did. I just wanted to piggyback off of what Emily said, to remind everyone, GDA members can apply for scholarships. If you're not aware, we gave away 5 $1,000 scholarships for people to attend the conference in Boston this year. And you can use it for national conference or any in-state training or conference that the board approves. And so that also includes our in-state conference. So just keep that in mind, that would help your bottom line and your argument when you go to those leadership at your city to request to attend these trainings.
Absolutely. All right. So before we wrap it up, who's got something great that's going on that they want to share? I know someone's got a success, kudos, claps, something amazing. All right, Ginger, what is it?
I just want to share this. We have Spin the District that comes through here every year. This is my first year here with College Park, but Spin the District will happen April 30th here, and we are putting up our first artsy bike cycle station here in College Park. And it's really pretty, it's real artsy with a guitar and a bike pump, a fix-it station. So that's happening April 30th, and we're doing a ribbon cutting. So everyone's excited about that. And another project that we're working on, we have on Virginia, I'm the Main Street manager for Main Street and Virginia Avenue. Mm-hmm. And on Virginia Avenue, there's a bridge there, and we're putting this huge mural on both sides of the bridge, and it's going to beautify College Park. So we're excited about that as well. So it's happening right now. All this is happening right now. So we're all excited about it. So
Awesome. Very exciting.
yes.
Brandy, what you got going on in Valdosta? There she is. You're muted.
Hold
There
on,
you go.
just, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We had our first ever Bluesberry Festival this weekend, and it was a slam. We had 10 to 12,000 people here Friday and Saturday, and it was a lot of work. It was but it paid off. And we had Tom Bones Malone from the Blues Brother Band and Lou Marini. And so we booked his flight. I mean, we did everything for him. It was so successful by how diverse the crowd was. Thank you. Young, old, everything here, and all types of minorities, and just white, black, Hispanic. I mean, they were just rocking it out. We sold tons of downtown merchandise. It was just a great, great thing. And we're going to have it every year.
Awesome. Yay. So good to hear it was a success, because we got to hear about it when we were down in Valdosta earlier this year. So love
Yes.
that. Alicia, what you got going on in Perry?
Hey there, we have our big spring fundraiser is actually tomorrow. Our wine tasting, we sold out 500 tickets a week ago. So we sold out the event a week before the event. So moving and grooving on that, we'll net about $20,000 through this fundraiser. And we already have the ticket link created for our fall one too, because this one sold out so fast. So we're planning to do the same event again in the fall when we're all decorated for our Scarecrow Fest and things like that in October.
Love it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Ashley, what you got going on in Gray?
My open container during festivals passed, and we had a big event this past Saturday. We had a concert and everything went really good, and we were drinking beer and wine, and it wasn't the end of the world.
Oh my gosh, love it. And the world did not end.
It didn't stop.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah. Melinda, what you got going on?
Well, I can't figure out how to share it. We just completed and had a ribbon cutting on our mural that is on our new parking deck. We had that last week and it's beautiful, and I have no way to share it other than it is on our downtown Canton page, and it's called It's a Vibe. And it is just very much, it's whatever you want it to be. I mean, it's when you look at it, it's just, you know, when you see birds, you see, and a lot of people say, you know, this really represents our community because it's just very colorful. And so if you get a chance, I have no idea how to share anything on here, no clue, but take a look at it. It's just really pretty, and it's exciting to know that when the parking deck went up, we knew that public art was going on that. And so it's exciting. So many people just stop by and have their pictures made with it. It doesn't have Canton on it at all. It is just beautiful art. So just take a look at it.
You can, if you have a link to it, you can throw it in the chat.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
She's not on the call, but I wanted to shout out Carson in Sandersville. Ella and I were there yesterday, and we kind of talked to her, both her Main Street board and her DDA board. They're doing amazing things down there. They just recently acquired the Ice House building in Sandersville, which is super, super cool. So they're kind of stepping into that development role. The city is kind of taking on some streetscape projects, getting funding for that. So just wanted to shout out her, even though she's not on the call, but they're doing really good things down there.
Awesome. Erin, what you got going on?
Okay, I just wanted to share for any of you guys that are close to East Point, we kicked off our Eats and Beats, which is every Thursday evening from 6 to 8. We had an opportunity, I'll say, to help our downtown restaurants. Many of them were in an urban environment, so the storefronts were right on the sidewalk and there's no outdoor eating. And one of our restaurants, Oz Pizza, is on a corner, and they actually have a corner courtyard lot that they were only utilizing like a third of. And so we partnered with them to open their gates up on Thursday evenings and allow anyone to bring food from any of our downtown restaurants into the courtyard, and we provide the music in the courtyard. So it's kind of created this outdoor space and dining area for people to get food from any of our restaurants and enjoy it outside with music as a kind of a public-private partnership with one of our downtown businesses. And it doesn't hurt too that Oz Pizza has an alcohol license and the courtyard is gated. So people, it's kind of become, a beer garden essentially, without having to go through all the hoops of creating that because they're already licensed to sell it out of there. So it's been a great little partnership, and it gives people a reason to, instead of grab and go because there's no outdoor dining, but to actually be able to stick around and listen to some music.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Erin, for sharing that. Very cool. I am going to say it is 11 o'clock. So anybody who needs to jump off can. We're going to keep going for a few more minutes. So anybody who wants to stick around with us can, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Kelly, what you got going on?
We have Record Store Day coming up on Saturday, which we have 4 record stores in our neighborhood, and I'm from Little 5 Points, in case anybody didn't know. We have 4 record stores in our neighborhood, which is probably unheard of, anywhere else. And actually, one of our record stores created Record Store Day, so we're real excited about that. We're starting to program our plaza. We got, with the grant money that we got from the General Motors and Main Street grant. So that's really interesting. I have put it out there to all our stores. Hey, what do you want to do in the plaza? And we have a psychic showcase coming up where we have a psychic, in one of our stores. So we're going to have a whole weekend of psychic readings. Only in Little 5 Points, right? And we have somebody that's going to do some films. So anyway, I'm excited.
Awesome. Very cool. Guys, Cassidy from Tybee, she says she needs some help trying to find some kind of project that she can do with Main Street and the HPC. She's a staff person for both. So she's trying to kind of find something that they can do that would like overlap. If anybody's got any ideas, like you can, talk about it right now, or you can shoot her an email. She's got her email that she dropped in the chat. You can reach out to her.
May is Historic Preservation Month, so that would be an easy, if you have any historical buildings, easy way to partner.
What would you do? Just like
I've done an event before with tours. We've done social posts. Trying to think. Ours biggest one, we did an event. We did a tour of Myrtle Hill Cemetery.
Oh, cool.
But I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there that would make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
We also clean historic markers.
Yes, Michelle, I remember your presentation from last year's conference. And so HPC is kind of doing its own thing and Main Street's doing its own thing. For Preservation Month, we're doing trolley tours around Tybee, highlighting the historic properties and everything, and a few more activities. But I think it's a good thing. This is the most active that our Main Street program and our HPC has been probably in the existence of Tybee Island Main Street and Tybee Island HPC. So that's really great. But it's just a lot of work sometimes. So I'm trying to find ideas on ways that they can both be working on the same project where it's benefiting both entities. So we're getting things done, but I'm not dying trying to get everything done. And I know some of y'all probably know how that feels.
Right. I will say that I was super inspired in being in Boston. I loved the American history, and after 3 days in Boston, I headed to Philadelphia because my husband is a planner, and American Association of Planning was in Philly. And so I hear about, people being mad about taxation without representation and all this stuff, and then go to Philly and tour Independence Hall, and the first Supreme Court met in this room. And then this is where the second and third Continental Congresses were, and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So cool. So we have decided that we're going to name for the national 250th anniversary. We're going to rename Main Street Park Independence Park, because for the state of Georgia, there were 3 signers, and 2 of the 3 are from Liberty County. So we are going to rename this park that has a 1/4-mile trail in our downtown, and we're going to do Signers Trail, like Boston has Freedom Trail, etc. And a gazebo where homeless are hanging out and relieving themselves during the day, or drunks are coming to hang out because they don't want to be at home being nagged, and they do whatever they do in the gazebo. So we're pulling out the gazebo. We're going to replace it with Liberty Garden, because we are also one of only 3 counties named after an ideal versus a person in the state of Georgia. So we're going to try to get a replica of the Liberty Bell to create Liberty Garden and Signers Trail in Independence Park.
I love it. Look at that. Talk about inspiration coming from, all the
I came home and I was like, okay, I have to meet with you. I need 10 minutes. I got to tell you.
I love it.
I got to tell you. So I think our downtown businesses who surround that park are excited to see the gazebo go away, and so we can phase it in 3 years so that it coincides. There is a website called 250 Project. So as communities, if you sign on, or you're thinking about doing the sesquiquentennial project in your community, you can register that on that website.
Awesome. Emily, I have to ask real quick, what is the preservation pub crawl?
Oh, so this is something we did for the first time last year, but it's a ticketed event. And what we do is combine a history walking tour with a pub crawl. So we go to 4 different bars in downtown Macon, and they're guided tours. And then at each stop, you get a drink that corresponds to the history of the place. So this year we're doing a music themed pub crawl. So we're hitting historic music venues, places that used to be a music venue back in the day, but then some that have just opened as music venues, kind of like history in the making. So should be a fun way to get people excited about the buildings and the history of Macon, and also have some drinks.
I love that. That's really cool. I've never heard of something like that, but I love it.
Can
Monica, what you got going on in Cordial?
Oh, sorry, looking at survey answers. We working on our surveys for our yearly planning meeting, so that's always interesting. Can you see it? We finished our mural.
Yes.
Finally, it took forever. Oh, and Kelly, I lived in Little 5 Points as a young person, and I'm so glad to know that it's coming back. Got some great memories down there.
You might have known my parents. My parents owned Major Furniture in Little 5.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in downtown Little 5 Points as a stubbed my toe 1,000,000 times on that sidewalk. What else? Getting ready to redo some sidewalks and some street lightings. Things are moving along, and I'm excited. Finally, working on open container for events for Main Street. Just busy. Unfortunately, we had two businesses closed last week, so that's always sad. But other than that, we're moving along.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Rebecca, what you got going on in Jefferson?
I was actually raising my hand to speak to the HPC comment. I did message her directly to talk about our Porch Fest coming up, but just to share with the group and to add in one note, our HPC is working with the Community Development Department, which I'm a part of as Main Street, but we are putting on Porch Fest in our historic district. We have 12 historic homes, and including churches that are opening up their porches. They might have lemonade stand or sandwiches or whatever the homeowner wants to provide for the community, but we also have performers on every porch. So we have bands and choirs and individual soloists throughout our historic district performing to get people moving and learning about different things that, might have been interesting during that time the home was built and who might have lived there, and, sharing facts with the community. We're very excited about it. But even more exciting, to me, as Main Street, I think one of the more exciting things in the event itself is the energy. People are very excited about it on Facebook. They're really looking forward to it. But the homeowners are excited as well. And there have been new COAs submitted to HPC. They're doing all these renovations, getting it pretty, and volunteers from the community have gone to clean up the signs that indicate where the historic districts are. So, because of this event, things are looking better than ever. I'm excited.
Love it. Thank you for sharing. Nicole, what's going on in Gainesville?
Hey, well, today we have our first annual art walk, which is kind of cool for a few reasons. If any of you have been to Gainesville, we've kind of recently expanded what the public sees as the historic district. It used to be really right around the downtown square, but our Midland area has really picked up traction in the last few years. So this is the first event we're doing that spreads throughout the whole historic district. And we've got the trolleys running to try to get people between the different areas. And just showcasing some of the new public art that's gone in the area and some of the developments that are happening in that district. So we're really looking forward to that today. We've also expanded our downtown dining district to expand into the Midland area. So lots of updates coming, and we're excited for the community to get out. It's a beautiful day, so we're looking forward to having some good crowds today.
Yeah, I was gonna say perfect weather for it. Love it. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for all sharing. I love hearing like all the great stuff that's going on. The team's going to stick around in case anybody has any questions one-on-one that they want to ask, but otherwise we will see you next month for Third Thursday. Thank y'all for being here. We'll see you next time.